This episode is sponsored by UPMC Elite Orthopedics. UPMC Elite Orthopedics is proud to support youth sports across our region and proud to sponsor Scholastic Mirror on the Altoona Mirror YouTube channel. To learn more about their board-certified orthopedic surgeons and the wide range of orthopedic conditions they treat, or to schedule an appointment in one of their facilities in Hollidaysburg or Bedford, visit upmcaltoona.com/ortho or call 814-889-3600.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to episode number 5 of Scholastic Mirror here on the Altoona Mirror YouTube channel. This is a special edition because we are filming this after midnight. That's how much we love this show, and we love you people that we hung around because we had to put the paper out first, the Altoona Mirror Sports section. I am joined, as I always am, Mike Boydum, Andy Stein, my name is Scott Franco, Dan Eisenberg behind the camera. What? And the first thing we're going to do right off the bat is talk about some playoff basketball. Mike was at a great game on Tuesday, Williamsburg versus BG. We're going to talk about a couple other things. We got a video to share with you as well. Michael, tell us first about the BG-Williamsburg game that was at the Fieldhouse.
Well, first of all, what an atmosphere over there. They estimated more than 2,400 people over there. Scott, like you grew up at BG, but like, do you ever remember the field house like being packed?
In the late 70s, one of our government guys, Louis Schmidt, who works in Harrisburg now, Louis Schmidt played basketball out in the late 70s. They had a big game with Philadelphia Overbrook that had a guy named Tony Kosser, and that game was packed. I mean, my dad only got me and my little brother in because he was a policeman, and he got us in that way. And that game, I remember being packed. And there have been other games that I've covered, but it just from the sound that Andy and I were listening on the radio Tuesday night, and it sounded as loud as a game could sound on a radio.
It was Coach Christy Cack said after the game that she had no ability to communicate with her players on the floor. They couldn't hear, and it made it impressive because BG has three sophomores and 2 freshmen, and they were basically able to out there run the game plan themselves without help from the coach because they couldn't hear. That's how loud the crowds were there. I mean, at Moshannon Valley, could you even fit 2,400 people in the stands and the gym?
In the gym, definitely not. If you put the new football stadium in there, I mean, yeah, you can put. I guess you can put a lot of people there.
Well, you sent Andy a photo on Tuesday night and showed what the crowd looked like, and that was even before the game started. And the people, for those not familiar with the Fieldhouse, I mean, it goes up and it was just filled. Yeah. And I was told I heard on the radio, they said it was the Williamsburg side was just blue shirts.
Yeah.
It was just blue the whole way.
You know what it reminded me though, Mike, is you and I covered this game a couple of years ago, the Tyrone Central baseball game at PNG Field. I want to say they were estimated like 4,000 people there that night. Maybe more than that.
And the District 6 championship game too was also packed.
So did you ever get a feeling at any point who you thought was going to win that game?
No, I mean it could have came down to either team, and I just think it's a great sign for District 6 girls basketball. I mean, how great is it? You get a PIAA semifinal. It's 2 teams from District 6. It's just been such a strong classification in District 6 over the years. I mean, I remember the one year covering Northern Cambria against Bishop Guilfoyle in the state championship game. 2 District 6 teams made it, and over the years, you've had Bellwood in 2A, and Bishop Guilfoyle has just always been there, always been a force, and just won a state championship in 2021, and now they're already back here with a whole new set of girls. It's very impressive.
And they play Friday
at noon. They play against Mountain View out of District 2. I think BG has got to be the favorite in this game. Their defense is just so good, and because we have seen Williamsburg just put up big numbers all year with Leanna Royer, and Leanna Royer was held scoreless in the second half of that game because BG's team defense is just very impressive.
And just for those who call the Mirror asking where's the game on television, I can tell you right now it's going to be on Pennsylvania Cable Network. If you have BreezeLine, that's where you got to find it. It's PCN, I believe it's Channel 13 because that's where Scholastic Mirror is. It's on public access, Channel 13. So if you go public or PCN is 17.
That sounds right. I know if you have I have Comcast at home. I believe that's either 22 or 23 for me.
So yeah, Mike's going to be down there with all your coverage in Saturday morning's Mirror, games on the radio, games on the internet. But like Mike said, I was told before this game, whoever won this game was going to be the favorite. They thought, anyways.
And it could have went either way. In fact, BG won all 3 games in regular season in the season this year against Williamsburg. But all 3 of them could have went to Williamsburg too. I mean, it was just the way the ball rolled, and Coach Heilman said, the ball just seemed to always land in BG's hands at the worst possible times for them.
And somebody who had the worst possible time was a game earlier this week, Monday. The Bishop Carroll boys ran into a buzzsaw, Imani Christian. I mean, and Mike wrote in his story, you take away the first quarter, they were only outscored by like 7 points. See, I did read your story. I remember that. Mike's probably sitting there going, wow, he did remember that. But the first quarter was what, 29-7?
It was 29-7, and it was just, it's so crazy because Bishop Carroll got to where they got to because of their speed and athleticism. But this was just a different level. This team, I don't think they had a possession offensively that was longer than 5 seconds. They got the ball, they drove the basket, they laid it in. Or they shot a 3.
I showed you, too. I said this kid had 48.
Yeah, and they were trying to get him 50. Yeah, unreal.
See, now, did that bother you? Could you tell they were trying to get him 50?
Well, what I was worried about for their team was the kid drives to the basket, slams it, and hung onto the rim at the buzzer. And the referee started running in at there, and I think the referee was on the verge of tossing him. And if he threw him out of that game, he couldn't have played in the state championship. So, I mean, they always say about getting your players out because you're worried about getting them injured. That was a spot where that kid could have really put his team in jeopardy in the state championship. But, I mean, I understand it's exciting. You're going to the state championship, but the game was over. To drive to the basket and hang on the rim there, I don't know. I kind of just took a deep breath and was like, I don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah, we won't have to deal with that fallout. Another team that Mike went on to mention, and now they were eliminated a little bit ago, but the Portage Girls.
Yeah, the Portage Girls, 5 seniors, great season, and to be down 23 points with 2 minutes to go in the third quarter and cut it to 6 with 3 minutes to go, they had a chance to beat Kennedy Catholic, who's now playing for the state championship against Marion Center and is the prohibitive favorite in that game. So it was kind of like a state championship game for Portage in that game. And just a great job. Coach Lance Hudak talked about how he was so excited, so jumping around, that he had to sit down because he thought he was going to pass out in the fourth quarter.
But he's healthy. That's why I shouldn't worry about it. Well, that's a game you covered, right?
Yeah.
Because usually you follow him on X, and you give me scores because I like to know what I'm going to put. And when it was that big, I said, Andy, you can turn off Mike's X. And then when I give Mike's story, he goes, they cut it to 6. I'm like, why'd you listen to me? Should have kept it on X and everything.
And this isn't like the NBA. You see 23-point leads go away pretty common. High school, that does not happen, especially in that small of a range against a really good team that's probably going to win a state championship. So just kudos to Portage. They refused to go out with a blowout loss. They put in a lot of effort with those girls, and I just think that they deserve a round of applause.
And I think that's all. We have one more thing basketball-wise.
Yeah,
Mike caught up with, he'll tell you here, saying we have one of our little video segments that Mike and Dan Eisenberg have put together for us.
Yeah, it's been a great, it was a great run for Williamsburg this year and BG. It brought back a lot of memories of the 90s when BG and Williamsburg met up a bunch of times. BG won some state titles. Williamsburg won one in 1997, made it to another final in 1995. And we talked to Coach Mark Moschella, who is going into the Blair County Hall of Fame this year, about some of his memories from that experience and what he thinks of this year's team and how Coach Cack's been leading the squad.
Well, the crowds were phenomenal. I mean, I remember trying to direct plays as a coach, and our players couldn't even hear. It was so deafening. And Williamsburg brought, a great community of people, and the Bishop Guilfoyle. And I just remember how they had to bring temporary seating in at St. Francis just because, the place was filled with the rafters. But knowing the talent that Williamsburg had and the talent that we had, we knew that, it was going to be a couple of possessions here or there that was going to determine the game.
How did you keep the girls, motivated and think, hey, we can still come back and win states whenever you would lose those district championship games? And then what kind of adjustments did you make the second time when you played them?
Well, I can't honestly remember, all the details of exactly the things that we had to do. But when you get to this point, I don't think that you have to go in and tell the kids how big of a game it is. I mean, they realize that it's a big game, and our kids probably went in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder from the District 6, knowing that, we should have possibly pulled that game out. And we lost, if I'm not mistaken, by one. So going into the Western Final, the stakes were even higher, and our girls rose to the occasion.
And just what's it been like watching this as a fan instead of a coach this time around?
Well, I mean, my overall feeling is I just think Christy does such a great job with these kids. She's a motivator, works in big detail with these kids, and I know my granddaughter being on the court just brings home that enthusiasm that Christy displays as a coach at practice.
That was former BG coach. I want to say legendary, but Mark will get mad at me if he sees me because he'll say legendary makes him sound old. But he is legendary BG coach Mark Moschella there, the former coach, talking with Mike. Now we want to do our jumps off the page segment, our favorite segment. We almost want to sometimes start the show with it. Mike will go first, and Andy has his. I'm afraid what Andy's going to talk. And then I have mine. Mike, first, what jumps off the page for you?
Paul, how about in the paper, in the midst of all the coverage of BG and Williamsburg, there were some softball and baseball games played on Tuesday, and I was outside. It was very cold. That just jumped off my page, thinking about swinging a bat and how cold it is when you swing a bat. I know you play baseball too.
Yeah.
Swinging a bat and it being 32 degrees and what it feels like when you hit the ball, especially with how fast some of these kids throw. I'm sure that there were some stinging hands on Tuesday night.
I remember how cold it was keeping score on the bench for high school baseball and everything, so I can't actually speak to the playing portion of that.
Hopefully the weather's a little bit better next week, starting next week.
It's funny because what Mike was just talking about there with it being so cold, it goes into what I'm talking about. Well, number one, I do want to tell all the place winners at Hershey for wrestling last weekend. Was it last weekend or 2 weekends ago? I think it was 2 weekends ago. But congratulations to all the place winners on a great season. And now what we were talking about here just now with Mike's, how cold it is. It's like it is now officially spring now. By the way, it's 11. It's past 11:06. So, it's March 20th now. I mean, we started baseball and softball on March 18th on Monday, and I'm just asking myself, what are we doing here? Like, we have until the middle of May. To complete regular season games, and it's just like with the spring season, most of the time in baseball and softball, we're playing 4 games most weeks anyway towards the end of the season. And most of the time, 8 out of 10 times, maybe I'm lowballing it, but maybe 9 out of 10 times, these games on March 18th, they don't get played. So I just got to ask, like, what are we doing here? Why do we even schedule these games? We got lucky to get a few in today. But, most of the time, these athletic directors, they're getting behind the 8 ball already with scheduling in baseball and softball. So it wasn't all that long ago where we didn't start scheduling anything until, the last couple of days of March. We are playing way too early these days.
And like tennis, you can move indoors. That's around here. Hollidaysburg, Altoona.
Tennis can be played in cold weather.
But they also have places around here like the Gorilla Gym, the Summit Tennis.
Track can be done in cold weather.
You can't play baseball, so there's nowhere around here you can go. Unless somebody wants to buy some land, build that, and make some money around here because of the weather.
It is Tuesday night, and like last night, Monday night, it was snowing on my way home. It's like you can't play baseball in that. So I got to ask, what are we doing? I understand why they do it, but with the umpire shortage and everything like that.
You just wish they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, it's just athletic directors are putting themselves behind the 8 ball so early in the season.
Well, maybe we'll get our first mail from ADs sending stuff in care of Andy Stein, 301 Cayuga Avenue, Altoona, PA.
Yeah, because we're still looking for free stuff.
All you want, give the stuff to Mike and I, and then send the hate mail to, once again, Andy
We
Stein.
can have a conversation.
Well, I would like to say a shout out though to the Central and Bellwood grounds crews, because whenever we're trying to find games to do in the spring, it always seems like Bellwood and Central are able to somehow get the rain or the snow or whatever it is off their fields and consistently play. So over the years, I've noticed those 2 schools are 2 of the best ones at getting their fields ready to play.
And my final thing here with the jumps off the page, and it is a cold weather sport, it is the Hollidaysburg hockey team who on Tuesday night won the Laurel Mountain Hockey League 1-0 over State College. They finished 20-0. They were in this game last year and lost to them. They won the first one in 2003, and they hadn't won it since. They got another shutout from the Dewey kid, whose name I wrote down because he was our athlete of the week. And he got the shutout again. I'm trying to think how many saves he has. If I was a TV guy, I'd be really in trouble. He got 2 shutouts. So he had a shutout in the semis, a shutout in the final, did not give up a goal in 2 playoff games. Caden Kirkham got the only goal that they needed because Dewey was at the top of his game again. And here's what I love about this Dewey kid, our athlete of the week. His favorite subject at school was lunch.
Yeah, lunch. That was great.
And I just thought, that's awesome. I can't wait to meet this kid at our banquet at the end of the year because we have really a nice spread at the casino and everything. But I hope they're going to have them make lunch.
Me too, Mr. Dewey. I mean, I liked lunch too.
But anyways, I just thought that was so cool that was that kid. But again, 20-0, and they had to beat State College, I think, a 3rd time. They beat them twice during the season. And again, just like we talked about basketball earlier, BG to do it at the Williamsburg. But kudos to the hockey team at Hollidaysburg, 20-0. And everybody was gunning for them, and they still 20-0. And
he stopped 96% of his shots going into the championship game. That was on the.
And we still haven't. I still haven't found Dewey's name, even though I know it's him.
Tyler.
There you go. There it is. John Artshaw covered the game with him. But that's going to do it for this episode of After Midnight, which we did our Scholastic Mirror for Andy Stein, for Mike Boyden, for Dan Eisenberg. We try to get Buck Frank, our boss, to come in and do this episode with us. He's very camera shy. But I'm Scott Franco. We'll see you next time.
And good luck to BG and the state champions.
And we'll be talking about spring sports the next time. I mean,
it'll be warmer, hopefully.
Hopefully. Andy, a lot of the ADs will be happy again. So
hope so.
Good night, everybody.